Burke, Burns, Broaden, Ballbach. Mr. Burke. I'll see if he's in. Who's calling, please? Mr. Burton of Bradshaw, Bradford, Bradley, and Brant. Mr. Burke, Mr. Burton is on the line. I'll ask him. Mr. Burke would like to know what this call is in reference to. The ball bearings you bought were broken. One moment. Mr. Burke, the ball bearings Mr. Burton bought are broken. I'll ask him. Mr. Burton, could you hold on one moment, please? Burke, Burns, Broaden, and Ballbach. Mr. Broaden, I'll see if he's in. Who's calling, please? Mr. Brooks of Brown's Brewery. One moment. Mr. Broaden, Mr. Brooks of Brown's Brewery is on the line. I'll ask him. Mr. Brooks, Mr. Broaden would like to know what this call is in reference to. Beer bottles. They're bubbling over with a bunch of brine. I'll tell him. Burke, Burns, Broaden, and Ballbach. Mr. Ballbach, who's calling, please? Mr. Butterworth from Bates Bookbinding. And you're calling in reference to? The bilingual Bibles. I'll see if he's in. Mr. Ballbach, Mr. Butterworth from Bates Bookbinding is calling about the bilingual Bibles. Yeah, they're blurry. I'll tell him, sir. Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Burton, but Mr. Burke would like to know what the ball bearings are made out of. Brass. I'll tell Mr. Burke. Burke, Burns, Broaden, and Ballbach. Mr. Burns, I'll see if he's in. Who's calling, please? Mr. Belkin of Billy's Bucharest Boutique. And this is in reference to? The black and blue beaded babushkas. They're what? Okay, I'll tell him. One moment, please. Mr. Burns, Mr. Belkin of Billy's Bucharest Boutique is calling about the black and blue beaded babushkas. Yes, the brocaded budding is too bushy. I'll tell him. Mr. Butterworth, Mr. Ballbach says that the blurry bilingual Bibles will be bought back by Burke, Burns, Broaden, and Ballbach. Yes, so have your bookbinders bind only the better Bibles. Bye-bye. Mr. Brooks, Mr. Broaden begs your forgiveness for the brine-bubbling beer bottles because the bunch that you got were from a batch that became badly backed up in the big brine-bathing brushes. Bye-bye. Mr. Belkin, Mr. Burns is badly broken up about your bushy bunting, but wants you to know that the bumbling buffoon that botched up the black and blue beaded babushkas will be bounced. Mr. Burton, Mr. Burke is really bristling over the broken brass ball bearings, but believes that Bradshaw, Bradford, Bradley, and Brant are biased against Burke, Burns, Broaden, and Ballbach, and believes that your boisterous belly aching belongs with our barristers, Barrett, Barstow, Barrington, and Blevitz. Bye-bye. Oh, boy. Oh, lunchtime. Crocker, Crinkly, Conkley, and Cox. Criminy.